Okay, students, so here we have a question, a monohybrid cross of two individuals that are heterozygous for a trait. So let's take a look here. It says monohybrid. Mono means one and one gene, and we're going to mix them. We're going to cross something. Usually it's two alleles. Okay, of two individuals. So remember, first thing we do is we write what the parents are. We're going to get their sex cells. And then we're going to fertilize them. And we also want to include what the genes are, what the alleles are. In this case, it's one gene. And if you look at the problem, they're not telling us what trait we're talking about. So don't freak out. Just make up a trait. That's what you do in these problems when they don't give you something. So I'm going to use height. And you know the alleles, big T, little t. The two versions of height are tall and short. Remember what alleles are. Alleles are the different versions of the gene. So this is very general, or this is the category. And the alleles tell us specifically what type of height. Okay, so now they're saying that both parents are heterozygous. Heterozygous for the trait. So hetero meaning different, right? So not big T, but big T, little t. Heterozygous. Same thing over here, big T, little t. Then we get the sex cells, right? So they're not telling us who's a mom or dad either. So in this case, you just pick. Just pretend, okay? So this is a mom, this is a dad. So dad makes, through meiosis, makes sperm. So remember, there's only two really combinations. You do the law of segregation, big T, little t. Remember how we did that in the first early videos? And then you get the eggs over here, big T, little t over here. Just segregate them, right? Just so you know how I got those. Alright, so then you go ahead, put the Punnett Square, bam, bam, cross. You go ahead, put the sperm over there, big T, little t. Put the eggs, big T, little t. I'm just carrying these over here, right? Alright, and then you go ahead, down and across, big T, down and across. Put the big T in front out of respect, down and across. And then down and across, little t, little t. Alright, so they're asking us what will be the phenotypic ratio. So let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk about genotypic ratio first. And your genotypic ratio is the ratio of the allele combinations. In other words, letters. So let's look at the allele combinations. When we look in here, we look at the offspring. And here we have one big T, big T. I don't see that anymore, so I cross it out. And then I see big T, little t. How many times? I see it twice. And then I see, I cross that out. And then little t, and I see that only once. There you go. So the ratio is 1 big T, to 2 big T, little t, to 1 little t, little t. Alright, so then phenotypic ratio is talking about the physical appearance. So in other words, how many times a certain appearance shows up. So here, the two appearances we're talking about are tall and short. So how many are tall? Let's go back here. Big T, yes, it's tall because big T is dominant. Big T, little t, it's still tall. So these are all tall. There's 3, not that one's short. So there's 3 tall to 1 short. You can put these in a fraction also, 3 out of 4 total, right? 1 out of 4 total. And you can also get percentages. You can say 75% tall, 25% short. So you look at your answer choices, and the answer is C, as in cat. 3 dominant, right? That's the dominant form, and 1 recessive. So 3 to 1. In a monohybrid cross between homozygous dominant parent and a homozygous recessive parent, one would predict the offspring to be blank. So here, anytime they ask you for the offspring, whenever they ask you what are the offspring going to be, you know that you're going to do a Punnett Square. Okay? That's a big hint. Should have told you that a while back, but just remember that. If they're asking for offspring, Punnett Square, okay? If they're asking for gametes, then you just segregate, like we've done those problems before. Or if they ask you if it's a dihybrid, then you do the FOIL thing. If you have 2 genes. Okay, but here they're asking for offspring, so we know it's Punnett Square, like we've been doing. Monohybrid cross, so it's 1 gene. They're telling us it's a homozygous dominant. homozygous dominant parent, and a homozygous recessive. Remember, we always start with the parents. So I'm going to do that again over here. So just write, these are the parents. Remember, we get their sex cells. Fertilize. You just write this down. Just get in the habit of doing this. Remember the things. First, get the genes, the alleles, the parents, sex cells, fertilize. Just remember that. Okay. So homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive. They didn't tell us the trait again. So just I'm going to use height. Height. And the alleles tall, little t, short. Okay, so homozygous dominant, how do I show that? Big T, big T. Homozygous recessive, how do I show that? Little t, little t. And what are the sex cells? Go ahead and do the, I'm pretending these are the sperm, so big T, big T. These are the egg, little t, little t. Real easy. Go ahead, put them in the box. Big T, big T. I'm just transferring them there. I'm putting the eggs over here now. Little t, little t. Down and across, down and across, down and across, down and across. And what's the answer? Well, they're all going to be tall, so look at the choices. And if you look at all of them, the correct answer is D. They're all heterozygous. Okay, number 16. In a monohybrid cross, two heterozygous parents. One would expect the offspring to be, okay, they're looking for offspring. Whenever they're asking for offspring, what do? You're right. Punnett squares, okay? Now, just another hint. They could ask you, what are the offspring going to look like? What's the probability of the offspring? You hear that also. You're going to hear, what about the kids? What are the children going to look like? So think about it. What are all the words that mean offspring? Kids, maybe you're talking about cats. What are the litter going to be? Maybe lions. What are the cubs going to be? Anything that means like what your offspring are going to be, your kids, your babies, whatever. Anytime they ask about that, then you know we're going to fertilize sperm and egg to make these, right? So Punnett squares. Okay, so monohybrid cross. Remember our rules. We need to know parents, sex cells. We need to do the fertilization box, or the Punnett square. And then we need to know the genes, and we need to know the alleles. I set up my problem just like that. Don't forget. For all these problems, well, pretty much most of them. Okay, so we're crossing two heterozygous parents. Heterozygous. Again, they didn't tell us what gene, so what do? We make it up. I'm just going to use height, because that's easy to use. Tall, short. Bam. Okay, so heterozygous. How do I show heterozygous for height? Big T, little t. And the other one is big T, little t. They didn't tell us who the mom and dad is. I'm just picking this one as the male. Mom, female. Okay, mom, dad, whatever. Okay, so then we go ahead, do the law of segregation. And, oops, I messed up here, mom. I meant male, female. There you go. Okay, so sperm, big T, little t. Segregate, get the eggs, big T, little t, right? You already know how to do that. And go ahead and put your fertilization box. Put the sperm out here. Egg out here, big T, little t. And what do we get? Well, fertilize them. Down and across, down and across, down and across, and down and across. So, what's the genotypic ratio? Okay, genotypic ratio. Well, I see one big T, two big T, little t's, and then one little t, little t. Phenotypic ratio. In other words, how many come out tall, how many short? The physical appearance. Well, there's 3 tall, 1 short. Now they're asking me what would expect the offspring to be. I didn't even have to do all that because they want the genotypic ratio if you look at the choices. And what's the answer? 1 to 2 to 1. And in this case, you look at the answer choices, they didn't use T, they used P. Same thing, okay? So I could just convert them to the same thing. 1 big P, 2 big P, little p. 1 little p little p. So the answer still is C. Okay, so same thing. Okay, we did it. Okay, we chose T. They use P. Whatever. It's the same thing. We got the same answer. Okay, number 17. Okay, 17. In guinea pigs, black fur is dominant. So they told us something. Black fur is dominant. Remember we write out the genes, right, and the alleles. It looks like we're talking about fur color. So I could write that out. What are my alleles? Big B is black. They told us it was dominant, so I'm using big B as the letter. And then little b is whatever the other color is. A white guinea pig. Okay, white. Okay, white fur. Now, they're saying that you have a black guinea pig and you cross it with a white guinea pig. And if the litter contains a white, so you get a white offspring. Then what's the genotype of the black-haired parent? So what are we looking for? This one. This is a question that I call these types of question, who's the daddy? Or sometimes who's the mama? Okay, because we don't know one of them. There's one that's unknown. Okay, these are easy problems. You just have to remember this. So here we get a white offspring. So we assume that there's some others that are black because they said you get a white offspring. They didn't say all of them are white. They said you get a white offspring. So I'm assuming that there's some black. Okay? So we know one of these already. We don't know this one. Do we know this one? Yes, you do. This is easy. It can only be little b, little b. Okay, it's always a recessive one. That's easy to figure out. There's only one option. But here we have a problem. It could be big B, or big B, little b. So which one is it? So here we go. So what we can do is we can do what's called a test cross. We try both. And in a test cross, we're always crossing with this type, which is a recessive. So in a test cross, we try both options, and we're crossing with what's always our known. And our known is the recessive, right? And in this case, it's little b, little b. That's always known because that's the only option you can get to have white fur. So you cross the unknown with a known. That's how you do a test cross to figure out who the parent is. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to cross big B, cross with little b, okay? You already know how we do these problems. These are the parents. Let's get the sex cells. Let's get the sex cells over here. Okay? And this is mom, so these are the eggs. This is dad, so these are the sperm. Okay, so then I go ahead, put my Punnett Square there, and then put the sperm over here. Big B, I'm just transferring them. Little b, transferring the eggs over there. Fill it out. And look what I get. They're all black. So is that the parent? Was the parent this combination? Well, they all came out black. Here they said that you get some black and white. So no, this is not the parent. That wasn't it. Because if they made kids, they would all be black. Try the other option. Big B, cross with little b. Do the same thing. Get the sperm, big B, little b. Get the egg combinations, little b. Go ahead, put your fertilization box. Put the sperm over here. Big B, little b. Put the eggs over here, little b. And you probably guessed it. These are black, but check this out. These are white. So you get 2 black, 2 white here. So we get some white here. So the parent must have been this form. So what's our answer? That our parent was heterozygous. So the answer is B.